It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received a phone call from his brother, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Ibrahim Raisi, who extended to him and to the Algerian people his best wishes on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. Rioting has continued raging across France for a fortnight as family and friends prepare to bury the 17-year-old Nahel, whose killing by police sparked the unrest. And the UN Security Council has unanimously adopted a resolution paving the way for the withdrawal of the UN Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in Mali as requested by the Malian authorities. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, has received a phone call from his brother, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Ibrahim Raisi, who extended to him and to the Algerian people his best wishes on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. A press release of the Presidency of the Republic said that, for his part, the President of the Republic thanked his Iranian counterpart for his fraternal call, addressing him and the Iranian people his wishes for well-being and prosperity. The two presidents on the occasion agreed to strengthen bilateral cooperation and accelerate the holding of the Joint Grand Committee meeting between the two countries. Meanwhile, the Iranian President congratulated the President of the Republic on the election of Algeria as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council, while extending his congratulations to the Algerian people on the occasion of the 61st anniversary of independence. Mujahid and former colonel of the People's National Army, Salim Saadi, who died at the age of 87, was buried on Friday afternoon at the Al Alia Cemetery here in Algiers. The burial ceremony was attended by the Minister of Mujahideen and Right Holders, Laïd Rabiga, and several Mujahideen and companions of the deceased, his relatives, and a large number of citizens. It's worth recalling that the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, had sent a message of condolences to the family of late Salim Saadi. Born on October 25, 1936 in Sétif, the deceased joined the ranks of the revolution in 1958 in the eastern border region, where he took part in many battles along the eastern border and on the Maurice line. After independence, Salim Saadi joined the ranks of the ANP, where he held several positions. Between 1990 or 1979 and 2002, he held various ministerial portfolios, including agriculture, heavy industry, interior, and transport. Political parties have condemned the murder of the young Algerian-born Nahel in the French city of Nanterre by a policeman during a traffic check. The National Liberation Front FLN party indicated in a press release that this appalling tragedy reveals the degree of irresponsibility shown by the French police before a defenseless young man. Wondering about the motives which led to shooting the young Algerian and killing him in cold blood, the party claimed that only a serious investigation and the punishment of the perpetrators can bring justice to Nahel's family and to the Algerian community, which is treated according to a double standard policy. The political party expressed its support for the Algerian community, which should enjoy all its rights under the laws and treaties in force between the two countries. The El Bina movement has also shown its full solidarity with the Algerian community in France following the tragic death of young Nahel, killed by a French policeman during a controversial intervention. The El Bina movement said it was very worried about the repercussions that these incidents could have in the future, stressing that the French authorities have the entire responsibility to conduct a transparent investigation to shed light on the circumstances of this attack and to do justice. The political formation also called on the French authorities to ensure better protection for our community and to take more measures to prevent any abuses, thereby welcoming the position of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs following this heinous aggression. For its part, the Ennahda movement denounced a racist and extremist act which claimed the life of an innocent young man, demanding the opening of an independent investigation to determine the crimes or the circumstances of the crime. Rioting has continued raging across France for a fortnight as family and friends prepare to bury the 17-year-old boy whose killing by police sparked the unrest in the country. Despite a massive deployment of 45,000 police officers to the country's streets, cars and buildings were set ablaze and stores were looted, while the Interior Ministry announced 994 arrests around the country by early Saturday. Nahel Marzouk, 17, will be laid to rest close to his home in the northwestern Paris suburb of Nanterre, where he was shot in the chest as he sat at the wheel of a stationary Mercedes last Tuesday. The 38-year-old officer responsible for the killing has been charged and remain in custody. The government suggested the violence triggered by the teenager's killing was beginning to lessen following tougher security measures, including 5,000 more officers than the previous night. Meanwhile, the spokesman for German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier said President Emmanuel Macron has asked that a planned state visit to Germany be moved to another date as unrest continues in France. Steinmeier's office said Macron asked to postpone his trip during a telephone conversation on Saturday, adding that Steinmeier regrets the cancellation and has the fullest understanding in view of the situation in the neighboring country. And this happened as the French president is preparing to preside over a crisis cell meeting this Saturday. Shifting now to Africa, where the UN Security Council has unanimously adopted a resolution paving the way for the withdrawal of the UN multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali as requested by the Malian authorities. Under the resolution, the UN peacekeeping force should end its activities by July 1st to organize its forces pull-out, due to be completed by the end of December. Addressing the UN Security Council last month, the Malian Foreign Ministry called for the withdrawal without delay of the UN mission from Mali on account of the failure of the UN peacekeeping mission of solving the crisis. And in Sudan, the civil aviation authorities have extended until July 10th the closure of the country's airspace to the exception of humanitarian flights. The restrictions were imposed by the Sudanese authorities 4 months ago in connection with the situation prevailing in the country. Meanwhile, clashes involving heavy artillery resumed in the city of Omdurman, west of the capital, as well as in Bahi, north of Khartoum. The clashes broke out on the second day of a truce agreed on by the leader of the Rapid Support Forces. According to the UN, over 30,000 people have been killed in the fighting raging in the country, and which caused the displacement of 2.5 million others. To the Middle East now, where the Palestinian Foreign Ministry has called on the international community to put pressure on Israel to dismantle the militias set up by Jewish settlers and to dry up their resources. In a press statement, it affirmed that those armed organizations it denounced as terrorists were carrying out their activities with the support and protection of the Israeli army. The Palestinian Foreign Ministry recalled that it had repeatedly warned that the Israeli authorities were seeking to expand the presence of the militias set by armed settlers in the West Bank. It also recalled having warned against the increased attacks carried out by those militias against the Palestinians and their properties, and urged the international community to enlist the armed organizations as terrorists. This came as several Palestinians were wounded in a series of attacks carried out by Jewish settlers against Palestinian houses east of the town of Hebron in the West Bank. Palestinian sources said the attacks were launched by hundreds of Jewish settlers amid a reinforced security imposed on the Israeli army on the Palestinian population. It is worth noting that the increase in the attacks launched by the Jewish settlers coincided with the extension of the Jewish settlement building authorized by the Israeli occupying forces and authorities in the Palestinian territories. Meanwhile, incursions were carried out today by the Israeli soldiers into various municipalities and villages in Nablus in the West Bank. And finally, in Brazil, former President Jair Bolsonaro has been barred from running for office for 8 years for false information concerning the electronic ballots used ahead of last year's presidential elections. Under the ruling issued by the Supreme Electoral Court, President Bolsonaro will not be eligible to take part neither in the local elections due to take place next year, nor in the next presidential elections slated for 2026. The former president is accused of power abuse for having hampered the democratic process by disseminating fraudulent information with the aim of abusing the voters. President Bolsonaro denounced the ruling as a stab in the back and vowed to continue to make advance the right wing in Brazil. His lawyers said he appeals before the Supreme Court. And with this, we come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Time now for our weekly programs, starting with Mohamed Barzwan's Sports Legends and Achievements. This will be followed by another program of my colleague Asya Bakar.
Radio Algeria International presents Sports Legends and Achievements.
Sports Legends.
Focus on famous world sports athletes who made history. Sports Legends. Now bask in the reflected glory. Sports Legends and Achievements.
Hello there and welcome. Today we'll focus on much talented English football player, namely Mason Tony Mount. Mason Tony Mount is an English professional footballer who plays as a midfielder for the Premier League club Chelsea and the England national team. He made his entry in Chelsea after completing his graduation from Chelsea itself. Playing for the club, he made his debut for Chelsea on the 11th of August 2019. Before picking pace with Chelsea, he had played with Vitesse and Derby County on loan. Mason Mount was born on the 10th of January 1999 in Portsmouth, United Kingdom. His family has their origin from Portsmouth, a port city in England known as the second most densely populated city in the UK and also the biggest fruit handling port of the country. The people there are generally characterized through their toughness and strong-willed approach to life. Tony Mount came from a football-loving middle-class family. His father was in shipbuilding work, while his mother was a housekeeper. Growing up, Mount's love for football gets deeper. He honed his skills every day from morning to evening in the field of Portsmouth. The passion and love towards the game drove him towards passing Chelsea Academy trials and taking the risk as referred by his dad because of Chelsea's FC's lack of interest in graduating their youth academy playing to their senior team. At a time when Mount invaded Chelsea, it was acquired by Roman Abramovich, who was interested in buying big shots. Mason Mount was 6 years old when he joined Chelsea in 2005. He made his under-18 debut and under-15 during the 2013-2014 season and added several more appearances in the following season. Tony Mount went up to play for both under-18 as well as under-21 team during the 2016-2017 season. After seeing his performances as a talented youth player, Chelsea took no time in signing him for a 4-year contract in July 2017. After being away for the club for around 2 years, Mason Mount made his return on July 15, 2019 through signing a fresh 5-year contract. He made his competitive debut for Chelsea on the 11th of August 2019 in a 0-4 defeat against Manchester United in the Premier League. He netted his first goal on 18th of August 2019 against Leicester City in a 1-1 draw match. Mason Tony Mount had represented his national team since a member of being a part of its youth squad. He had represented at 2016 UEFA European Under-17 Championships, 2017 UEFA European Under-19 Championship, in which he was named as the Golden Player of the tournament. On March 27, 2019, he was included in England's 23-man squad for the 2019 UEFA European Under-21 Championship. After his impressive season with Vitesse, Mount was invited by the manager, Gareth Southgate, to train him with the senior team for a week ahead of the FIFA 2019 World Cup. From the senior side, he made his senior debut on the 7th of September 2019 as a 67-minute substitute in England 4-0 home win in UEFA European 2020 qualifications while playing against Bulgaria. And that's it for now. This is Mohammed Barazwan from Algiers wishing you all the best. Stay healthy and keep on reaching for the stars.
And now another program by my colleague Asya Bakar devoted to tourism. A story in an artwork. A weekly program that tells stories flavored with art.
Shabi or popular music in Algeria can be translated as Algerian portraits.
Yeah, Algerian portraits. It's about profile.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to our program, A Story in an Artwork. Today's artwork is a popular Algerian folk song that has not lost its popularity since the 1950s. The song Shahidat Al-Ayani is today's story. Shahidat Al-Ayani is an ice color. It can be translated as the mix between the blue and black colored eyes or a mix between two colors in general. But this no one knows except the songwriter himself, for he kept the identity of his loved one who has this characteristic a secret from everybody. The song Shahidat Al-Ayani was written by Abdelhakim Garami and sung by several folk singers, notably Mohammed Zarbout, Boujama Al-Anqis, Abdel Qadir Sha'ou, and later on Kamal Moussaoudi. The melody of the song traveled the world from Cuba to arrive in Algeria and decorate the words and feelings of Abdelhakim Garami, who wrote it to express his lost love and heartbreak. Quizás, Quizás, Quizás is a Spanish love song of the band Los Ponchos by Cuban songwriter Osvaldo Fares. Fares wrote the original Spanish lyrics and composed the 1947 hit Quizás.
Siempre que te pregunto que cuándo, cómo y dónde, tú siempre me respondes, quizás, quizás, quizás. Y así pasan los días.
The song Quizás was adapted to English as Perhaps, Perhaps, Perhaps by Nat King Cole. The English lyrics were written by Joe Davis.
You won't admit you love me, and so how am I ever to know? You always tell me, perhaps, perhaps, perhaps.
Back to Shahidat Al-Ayani, the Algerian cover of the song Quizás. Garami is said to have written Shahidat Al-Ayani on the beach of Cherchel, his place of inspiration. About whom? Well, about a woman he loved in Cherchel whose parents refused the proposal of the poet and songwriter. So he wrote a song expressing his distress and deploring her loss. He says, "Tell my loved one whose love hurt me and made me cry. It was easy getting used to her, but not easy losing her." Garami goes on with his love poem written in Algerian dialect. I've never thought that one day you will forget me and forget my love and kindness, and I become a stranger to you. But the one who loves a rigid heart like me deserves to be treated this way.
You don't dare confess.
He also describes her beauty, one of the reasons he could not overcome losing her easily. He says, "Since I was young, your beauty seduced me, and your love invaded my heart. But why did you leave me till I have become out of my senses, and all my secrets unveiled?"
Being a pardon, broken hearted. So if you really love me, say yes.
Garami tells his loved one that he is ready to do everything to be with her. He says, "If I could, I would make wings and cross seas and lands to come wherever you are and tell you what happened to me because of your loss and relate to you the grief in my heart."
Y tú contestando, quizás.
Qisas was also the melody of the song Turah of Icon Fairuz in 1955.
مرفرف الدلال هواه أنس الليالي تراه يهوى جمالي تراه تراه تراه.
Several other singers performed the hit Qisas in different languages, but for Algerians, Shahidat Al-Ayani remains the best cover and has kept being a hit for 7 decades now. And that's it, dear listeners, for today's program, A Story in an Artwork. Do join us next week for another story. Goodbye.
End of this news bulletin, let's remind you of the major headlines. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has received a phone call from his brother, the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Ibrahim Raisi, who extended to him and to the Algerian people his best wishes on the occasion of Eid al-Adha. Rioting has continued raging across France for a fourth night as family and friends prepare to bury the 17-year-old Nael, whose killing by police sparked the unrest. And the UN Security Council has unanimously adopted a resolution paving the way for the withdrawal of the UN multidimensional integrated stabilization mission in Mali as requested by the Malian authorities. That's the end of it. We'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International and bye-bye for now.